What's up, YouTube? Up at the shop today, playing around with the Moped. It's been a couple days because we got really busy at the shop again. So, got the intake all done. That's dialed. Now we are on to hacking up the stock header and making it work with compressor drains. Making it work with this expansion chamber section. I don't know if that one's gonna make the cut long term, but it's what we got for now. So we are gonna chop this thing up. First thing we're gonna do, cut off this bracket, and we'll basically just kind of move that over as needed to fit on the exhaust mount down here. And then in terms of cutting down the header length, there's a lot of science involved in how to lay that one out the correct way. Typically, when you're building a tune chamber, I want to say it's like 68% from the header to the end of the first cone section. So if this was, I don't want to get into the crazy details on that. I have it all in two-stroke tuning books, but 38% or 34% for the header length, I think, is the ideal length from the piston face to the cone. But since we don't really, I hate it. Since we don't really have the full-on tuned exhaust, we're just going to kind of lay this out where it looks pretty. And then we can deal with tuning down the line and then maybe actually buy a better pipe, because this is 100% not the best one to be running. So let's get set up, start cutting things and mocking up. Okay, so I didn't bring a hammer over here and forgot to grab one again, but hammered that bracket off. I'm not too worried about cleaning all this up yet. I'll get in here and grind it, and if I need to fill a little bit from gouging, looks like I went a tiny bit too far, but not that big of a deal. It's on the inside anyway. So, there's our pipe. Don't know if this is going to get me to that 50-mile-an-hour goal, but never know till you try. Now we gotta start looking at the header. Kinda wish I had a table set up over here, or a lift. Thought I was done with groundwork. But ideally, almost thinking right about there. It's kind of a shorter section for the header, but I think that should work. But it would probably make more sense to start a little bit longer, and then I can modify going in. In the past, when I've been messing around with these, the first one I did, the header section was really long. Bike was super quick to about 45 miles an hour, but ran out of speed. Took 3 inches out of the header section and bumped that up to about 60, 58, I think. So yeah, where do I want to go here? Maybe we'll start here, leave it flush with the fender, and go from there. So. That'll kick off the axle just a bit. It's dimpled here too, so maybe I want to leave that for the axle clearance. We'll start right there. Good enough. All right, I'm gonna pop the exhaust off because we don't need to bang that out. Kick this out just a hair. So, just grab a line here. Like that. I think that should work. I'm guessing we're going to end up taking this off, and it's going to move this up to about here. Yeah. I think I'm going to shorten it. It's a pretty long section underneath here to here. So the header is basically just about a foot here. Decisions. Should we just test it and then I don't know what I want to do. Screw it. Let's just weld this up. So I got a magnet on the backside, Sharpie lines line up. Got this kicked out just a little bit to compensate for the axle in the rear. I should be ready to start buzzing this thing together. 100% planning on having to alter this at another point in time still too. Which kind of unfortunately is what it has to be for now. So, I'll put you that you're out of my way. There-ish. Some filler. Nice and dirty too, so. Very dirty. Much easier to do with a MIG welder. I wonder if I could actually just slot this and do a clamp on. Be a little easier for adjustment. Very awkward shapes. Back to MIG. No sense in messing around with this when I can just do a quick tack on here, at least get it together. It doesn't have to look pretty yet. Easier. A little thin on that upper front tube, so a little bit of patchwork to do here. Can't always be perfect. Probably should have turned the welder settings down a bit too, but too late now. Now we can finish weld it. held it. More customers. Let's see if this thing actually fits. That's part 2. Still gonna need to make a mount. Love it if this was anything. Good. What's up, Jeff?
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Did she settle up with you yet?
Good. We got a customer.
Cool. We have a pipe. It is all sandblasted on the back half, so that's gonna rust out crazy until we get around to doing the ceramic coating on it, but we're not doing that till we can test run it. So now we gotta figure out mounting. This is what we had, but I got a 2-bolt mount right here. Just gonna make some spacers, I think. Get that to kick out, and then we'll weld something on the back of the pipe. Not sure exactly what we're gonna do with that one yet. Do something off the shock bolt too. More fun decisions. Exhaust mount, here's what I'm thinking. I got some bar stock. I think I'm gonna cut this shorter because I kind of want a little bit of a spacer here. So what I'm gonna do is cut this, drill it, weld some bolts, through bolts onto the bracket, and then this will go right there through those 2 holes, and then this will be cut down right here. So it's basically, this gets welded to the pipe, that'll take up the spacer component, and we'll have threads coming in. Got plenty of clearance on the backside for the wheels, or I can weld nuts into here, or do a nut cert, and then have them bolt in that way too. Temporary. And then maybe I'll do some sort of strap from here. Aesthetically, I don't really like the look of that, but this I'd be okay with. And we'll leave a little bit of length on so I can weld it on the back side of this pipe. Just to give me enough room there. Or I gotta start bending up some stuff. Tentative, or maybe I'll just do a bung. Do some spacers and a bung here too. Decisions. This needs to get cut. So we're gonna cut the weld that we just wrestled together, bring the pipe forward, and I'm probably gonna kick it to about here. But I might need to try and find some pedals upstairs to make sure we can keep that pedal clearance. But this is way too long, so all that hard work, hack it up again. got this all set up. Left the bracket really long. We're going to trim that down. It's not going to be the prettiest thing in the world, but I don't want to spend a ton of time trying to make a really nice bracket yet because I don't know how this is going to work once we actually get it all back together. So fortunately, that piece that I used was coated. So a little bit of grinding there, but we're going to power through and make that work. Cut it off. This should be good to go. We're just letting it cool a little bit, I think. Just want this to cool because that is going to be resting on the bracket here. So I'll give that another 10 minutes, mount this back up, and then I think this can go back home today. Obviously the pipe's going to come off and get finished. We're going to do a ceramic coat on there when we're all said and done, but that's a little ways out, so we'll be back when that cools. Well, it is 2 days later. I got the bike up on the lift. And in editing, I realized I didn't end that last video before we dove into this. So your next video after this and the pipe will be a quick little teardown on the Evo, and then we slapped it back together. No outro for this one either, because we took this out and cruised it around. Daddy wants to keep it. I just ordered a bunch of parts today for this. Nothing fancy, but spent, I don't know, 200 bucks or so just to kind of set it up as a runner rider that we'll have around the house. We'll get into that later. Anyways, gambled on the exhaust. We lost. Didn't have the pedals with me when I brought it up there. They hit. Not good. So we will go through. We will go through and have to bring this back and cut and weld this flange, but I think I left enough room here to basically cut and twist it a little bit, because if we look at it from the back, if you guys can see that, we got a couple inches before we get close to the swing arm, and most of it's going to be tucked under, so I think if we cut this, we can actually twist it, and that'll give me that little bit of clearance. The lower bracket's going to be the one that kind of juts out, so we'll rotate the pipe a little and then snug it in, so we'll square up the flange on the header, and I'm not going to try and re-weld over the welds. I'm just going to cut it. Been leaving a little bit of meat there so we had room to redesign. So we'll cut this one, and I'll probably taper it just a tiny bit. Instead of going straight across, we're going to cut it at a slight angle this way. Same thing on this to match it. Twist, tuck this over, and then the rear bracket that we got welded up. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but it's thick enough, it's welded in sturdy enough, and we ran it to the shock bolt. This gives me plenty of adjustability in terms of trying to clean up the design. If you look at it from the back, it's not the cleanest thing in the world, but knowing that I was probably going to have to take this apart a couple times, we're still on version 1, so all the work that I'm doing trying to get the pipe to fit and clear and do whatever it's supposed to do is only the beginning, because we haven't actually run the bike. I'm guessing personal experience based on personal past experiences. We're probably going to snug this up a little bit more and almost have this pipe somewhere around here if I want to hit that top end number. If you didn't have brand new powder coated parts, you could also bend the pedal out just enough to give you a bit of clearance on there, because we are close. Does not need much, and I think they actually have longer pedal shafts too, but that involves pulling the case, so maybe they sell a little extender piece as well. I know pedal clearance issues have been a problem forever in the moped community, and I think there's a bunch of solutions available now that weren't before. Not positive, don't quote me on that, but we are getting closer. We will be back up at the shop at some point this week, and I will bring this whole bike back together. All the side covers and stuff for the motor are done, so realistically all we have left is ignition, which is 2 or 4 bolts here on the stator plate, and then the big nut that goes on the end of the crank, sprockets and things which are all laid out down here, and then the important side cover that has the clutch, starter clutch, and the clutch stuff itself, all of which we have. It's just we haven't really been in a full speed ahead rush on this. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all those other fun things if you are so inclined. I appreciate it. It costs you nothing. We're kind of coming into that spring, or at least it feels like spring, so we have all sorts of things queued up right now. Picked up a bunch of doors for the Falcon. Well, picked up the 2 doors, driver passenger, for the Falcon, along with I left at the shop 351 intake manifold for that free 351 that I picked up last year. So we have a 4-barrel manifold for that now. So come summertime, we're going to transition from bikes to cars a little bit more. I'll still be wrenching on stuff here, but as of right now, everything in the garage, minus the Garelli, is running. So we got a running Evo, running Superglide, running Shovelhead Chopper, running FLH. And then we got the running XLCH over at the shop, which is listed for sale. I'm running out of space, I'm running out of room. It's a cool bike, it's too long to fit on my bench. I like having stuff that fits up there when I want to work on it. And realistically, I don't need the mag-fired iron head. If I'm going to ride a chopper, I'm going to grab my shovel head. If I'm going to ride my daily bike, it's going to be the Superglide, or potentially this little Evo for a little bit until I get bored, or we decide to build this out over the winter and do a Paco Rigid next winter. Because once all the fun cars come back, the truck's still running, but Falcon, I gotta definitely get some work done on there. So we will catch you guys on the next one. I'm rambling. See you tomorrow.